Okay, good evening or good day, everyone. So let us continue our topics for the final exam. Okay, so 1.2 measure of variation. So let's start with the range first. In the previous chapter, we discussed about the different measures that determines the central tendency of a data. In which in this chapter we will be discussing about the different measure that describe how spread or scattered a set of data is, of which range is the simplest. Range is simply the difference between the highest and the lowest value in a set of data and is given by the formula below. R, that is the denotation for the range, is equal to the max value minus minimum or mean value. So maximum value and minimum value. The higher the value of the range, the more spread the data are. Take note, again, the higher the value of the range, the more spread the data are. But the principle suggested by range is the most inaccurate of all the measure of variation, since it only base its conclusion with the highest and the lowest values only. Next, after the range, there is what we call quartile deviation, or it denotes QD. Okay, we denote quartile deviation as QD. So another measure of dispersion is the quartile deviation, which uses the first and third quartile of a data and quartile of the data as the basis of its spread. So it is also called as the semi-interquartile range. So QD or quartile deviation can be calculated using the formula given below. So QD, uh, since it is just only using Q3, or should I say quartile 3 and quartile 1 mo nang naa diha sa formula. So QD or the quartile deviation is equal to Q3 minus Q1, in which Q3 is the third quartile and the Q1 is the first quartile. QD, again, QD is equal to Q3 minus Q1 all over 2. So among all the measure of variation, quartile deviation is the least helpful and helping a research drew a conclusion about the data. So again, our topic is the measure of variation ha. Ang una nato nga gina-discuss or gina-introduce rather is the range, and ang ikaduha is the quartile deviation. Now, ang ikatulo is the MAD or mean absolute deviation. So we denote it as MAD. Mean absolute deviation or MAD of a set of data is the average distance between each data value and the mean. So mean absolute deviation for ungrouped data can be calculated using the formula given below. So again, kanang gihatag una, kining gihatag una is for ungrouped data. So MAD or mean absolute deviation is equal to the summation of the absolute value of x minus the mean all over n. Okay, where x is the value from the data. Ang x nga badli sa ibabaw, straight nga line, is the mean of the data. And of course, is the total number of elements or the total frequencies in the data. Okay, next. For group data, katong ganiha is ungrouped data. For this one is group data. So MAD can be calculated using the formula below. MAD is equal to the summation of F. The F there is the frequency. Summation of F multiplied to the quantity. No, I'm sorry. Multiplied to the absolute value of X minus the mean all over N. where x is the class mark per class interval. Ang kanang kini nga x is capital letter ha. So the x nga na adre is the class mark per class interval. Then the ang kalahian small letter x, the value of the data kay ungroup man lagi. And for this one, since gigrupo na siya, that's why we call it the class mark per class interval. Okay, while the x nga naibadli sa ibabaw is the mean of the data, n is the total number of elements or the frequencies in the data, f is the frequency per class interval. Okay, so okay, let's proceed to the next one. Another uh Another deviation is what we call standard deviation. Okay, measure of variation. Another measure of variation is what we call standard deviation. Standard deviation is another measure of variation that describes how scattered the data are with respect to the mean of the given data. So, kung sa Binisaya pa, standard deviation mo ni ang ang sukdanan kung unsa kakatag ang atong data, of course in respect to the mean of the data or kanang the average of the data. So it is usually denoted as this one kini, this is sigma pero small letter nga sigma. Okay, kay sa Greek letter nga sigma is katumang murag e. Okay, and then all right. Standard deviation is the commonly used measure of variation. So mo kuno ni ang kanunay ginagamit. So especially in real life application since it is considered as the most accurate of all. So sa tanang measure of variation, si standard deviation ang most accurate nila. Now, the standard deviation of an ungrouped data can be calculated using the formula below. So, standard deviation is equal to the square root of the summation of the quantity of x minus the mean that being powered by 2 all over n minus 1. So, this is the formula of the standard deviation of an ungrouped data. While take note first. Um, all right. This one is for ungrouped data, and the next one, the kini is for the group data. So standard deviation can be calculated by using the given formula below. So unsa may kalahian nila? So kung makabantay mo sa group data na nay frequency nga ni apil. So standard deviation is equal to the square root of the summation of f of x minus the mean that being powered by 2 all over n. Okay? While this one, ang katong ganiha, walay frequency nga involved. Same ra siya. It's using the class mark yapon kay capital letter X. Now, where X is the individual value in the ungroup, and that's for ungroup ha, kay wa man to gina table. Diba? Kay ungroup man. While the X for the group data is what we call the class mark per class interval. So same ra gyapon earlier sa MAD ang kining ato ang denotation. The X nga naay kwan sa ibabaw is the mean of the data, the N is the total number of elements or the frequencies in the data, and F is of course is for the class frequency per class interval. Okay? For the group data. Now, let's proceed to the uh, another measure of variation. Call it variance. So variance is almost similar to standard deviation. Again, it is almost similar. So mamaora, they both measure the spread of a data with respect to the mean. So same ra sila na measure of variation na nagsukod sa spreadness of the data in regards or in respect to the mean. However, variance is equal to the square of a standard deviation. That's why it is usually denoted as this one. Kini ato ang ipakita. Okay, this one. Okay, sigma raised to 2. Kani mo ning symbol. The formula in the calculation of variance for ungrouped data. So, meaning ha, imurang i-squared ang imong standard deviation, meaning that is the variance. So, for the ungrouped data mo ni siya formula, uh, variance is equal to the summation of the quantity of x minus mean that being powered by 2 all over n minus 1. So, this is the formula of the um, variance. Kung makabantay mo, wala na square root. Okay? Kay naa na diri na puli. If you're if nakasabot mo um, cancellation sa square root, nahimong square sa pikas. So, again, parehara sila. Kung kwaon na itong 2, ibalhin na nato sa pikas, mahimong square root. So, that is the variance. So, kung gitangtang po na to, himo na tong sorry, that is the standard deviation. Kung kini nga stand na square dire, so this is variance. However, for the group data, dili na lang nato libog-libogon basig maghibog na niya hinoon mo. Sa laktod baliba ako na ni connected na jud, almost similar jud si standard deviation and variance. Kung imo ang square si standard deviation, then that is the variance. However, for the group data, the formula is as follows. This one, variance is equal to the summation of f multiplied to the quantity of class mark minus the mean that being powered by 2 all over n. So this is the formula of variance. Nawala ra gihapon ang square root, di ba? Mo man ni ang ato ang kuno, ang atong standard deviation, then mo ni atong variance. Now, let's have some problem. Ato sa i-recall unsa atong mga kuno. Una is range. Ikaduha is the quartile deviation. Ikatulo is the mean absolute deviation. Ikaupat is the standard deviation. And ikalima is the variance. Okay? So, mo na ato ang nahisgutan karon. For the sample problems, okay, let's have example number 1. The data shown are the score of 30 students in statistics exam. Find the range, quartile deviation, mean absolute deviation, standard deviation, and variance of the given data. Okay, so mo na yung mga pangutana. Dayon na ay sumpay nga naisumpay ang maong pangutana or naay condition rather. If 9 class intervals shall be used in grouping the data. So, mao ni ang data, ang 9 class interval in grouping the data. So, na 30 ka estudyante, 5, 10, 15, 20, sakto. 30. So, we can say that we going to use the for group, di ba? Group data man. Now, let's start with solving the range. So, solving the range, kay bao naman ta, maximum minus minimum, that's why 90 minus 47. So, mo nang i-check, ang 90 ang pinakadako, then 47 ang pinakagamay. Okay? So, R is equal to 90 minus 47, then that is 43. And then, we're done with the range. Nanatay range siya, 43. So, let's proceed to the next question, which is quartile deviation. So, in quartile deviation, mo ni ang formula, QD is equal to Q3 minus Q1 all over 2. So, of course, atong pangitaon ang Q3 o Q1. Now, in order for us to do that, ato sang butang sa table. Since naka-indicate sa problem nga natay class intervals, that's why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then, kahibaw naman ta, giunsa ni pagkuha. Okay? Kahibaw naman ta, unsay mga formula and how to create a table nganong 47 ta nag-start, then nganong 91. So this is 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. Ang ato ang class size is 5. Kaybaw naman siguro ta nganong na 5, no? O wa man gani, just review the previous topic or previous video nga atong gina-upload. Okay? Now let's proceed on the continuation of putting it in table. So class frequency dayon kaybaw naman ta unsay class frequency igo ra mag-ihap, di ba? And then we put it, yeah, you can do tally first para di ka maglibog. Then after getting the class frequencies, then you proceed to the summation of f, or the total number of frequency or total number of population if we're dealing with population size. Now this is 30. Okay, kung di gani na 30, meaning na something wrong kay 30 man ang number of students or the data that we have. Now, less than cumulative frequency, you knew it already. So you start with 4, you add 3, you add 3 again, 10, up until here, 26, you add 4, it becomes 30. So note that QD or quartile deviation is equal to quartile third quarter minus first quarter all over 2. So therefore, we need to know first the Q1 and Q3. Okay? Third quartile and first quartile. Okay, next is, in order for us to know, solving for Q1. So these are the steps. So Q1, since Q1 is located at 7.5 element, therefore Q1 uh, class, take note, 1 uh, multiply to 30 and then over 4. So mo ni ang formula sa uh, in getting Q1. So ang this one should be the kini, the x here, kini niya, multiplied to n all over how many quarters do we have? Since quartile man 4. So again, the formula is x times the n all over 4. So if we going to do the math, 1 times 30 divided 4, the answer is 7.5. So since Q1 is located at 7.5th element, therefore the Q1 class is 57 to 61. Atong i-check. So, dirita sa cumulative frequency magbase. 7.5. So, nilapas sa 7. So, dire kini. Kung mulapas gani sa 7, ato ka sa sunod. So, this is 57, 61 nga class interval. Okay? So, mo ni ang ato ang Q1. So, wata na to. Okay. Ito sang i-highlight first. Okay. Okay, mo na. Ana lang. Yellow lang atong butang. That is the Q1. Okay, 57 to 61. Now, lower boundary for the kth quantile class. So, since we do have the Q1 class, kini, kth is indication kung unsay atong ginahisgutan. We're talking about the quantile first or quantile 1 or quartile 1. So, mao nang ang kining key dire ang K maotro na later on for the Q3. Okay, Q1 pa matong ginahisgutan mo ng kth ang nakabutang. So the lower boundary of the kth quantile class XLB, so 57 man no. As we remember, atong previous natong video, just minus 0.5 for the lower boundary. Og upper boundary, we add 0.5. Hence, since the question is for lower boundary, so 57 minus 0.5, that's why our XLB is 56.5. Now, our class size is, of course, it's very halata na. Kaya na human naman tag butang. I mean, human naman ta og ano si tawag ani kanang nay tally. So the class size is 5, but in order for you to know what is I, what is and how to do I, the class size, um just review the previous video nganong nahimo siyang 5. That is because of the class this one, the glass interval, gina-indicate 9 class, and then it gives you the answer nganong 5 siya. Now, third is the type of quantile. So, Q is for the quartile. So, Q is 4. Ang Q, guys, is stands for the quartile. So, kay quartile man, quart, 4. So, the Q should be 4. Now, next is the class frequency of the kth quantile class. So, by looking at the table, the frequency of the kth quantile class, which is in the Q1, anya atong Q1 class is 5761. The frequency of the quantile class is 3. Check na to, 5761. Okay, good. Kana 3. Okay? Now, we do have the Q, small q. We do have the FQK. We do have the XLB. We do have the I5. Now, let's proceed on this one. Less than cumulative frequency before the kth quantile class. By looking at the table, the less than cumulative frequency before is equal to 7. Check na to. Okay, good. Before man, so 7. Okay, so we have the less CFB. So our formula is Q kth. The K here is 1, of course. We're dealing with the Q1 is equal to XLB. This is the lower boundary of the X in the this quantile class, plus the I, which is the class size, multiplied to the quantity of K, which is 1. Okay, we're dealing with 1. And then N, the N is 30. Total number of frequency all over Q, that is definitely 4, because this is quartile, minus the less than CFB, that is 7, all over FQK, which is the frequency of the quantile class, okay, which is 3. All right, so after putting it up here, substituting it here, do the math, then we get 57.33. So the answer for our quartile 1 is 57.33. Okay, now let's proceed to quartile 3. So solving for quartile 3, so our first solution, or should I say formula, is LK is equal to KN over Q. Okay, so LK, guys, is what quartile that we're dealing with. So this is Q3, okay? K is 3, of course, because this is Q3, okay? Dayon, N is 30 and Q is 4. So nga nara, sayon na to kayo. This is same formula with Q1. So L here is LK here is Q1 katong ganiha. So 1 man ang K, so mo nang 1 to ganiha dire. But here, we're dealing with Q3, that's why it is 3, and this is 3. So do the math, 90 divided by 4, that is 22.5. Okay, so we do have the Q3, 22.5. So same scenario with Q1. This is how we do it. Since Q3 is located at 22.5, element, therefore the Q3 class is 77.1. So 22.5, let us check. 22.5. So di pwede dire kay nilapas 9.5 dire. Okay, atong butangan og highlight niya color green. Okay. So this is the Q3. This is the Q3 class. Okay? Okay, good. So this is 25, no? And 30 for the class frequency. Ang before is 22. Okay, let us try to check. Okay, so the lower boundary of the kth quantile class. So the kth there is depende lagi kung saan nga itong ginasigutan. Since we're talking about Q3, so XLB of the Q3. So the lower boundary of the X in this quantile class is 77. Minus 0.5, that's why it becomes 76.5. Now the class size, of course, is just the same type of quantile, Q quartile, so that's why it's 4. The class frequency of the kth quantile class is, by looking at that table, it's FQK is equal to 3 gihapon. 3, same this one, 3. Okay. All right. Okay, last is the less than cumulative frequency before the kth quantile class, or the less CFB. By looking at the table, the least CFB is 22. Let's us check. Sakto, it's 22. And then next one is just substitute everything nga atong nakuha in this third quartile. So QK, the key here, the K here is 3. That's why it's 3. 76.5 plus 5 multiply to the quantity of 3 times 30 all over 4 minus 22 all over 3. The answer is 77.3. Okay, so we do have Q1, we do have Q3, then we can answer our quartile deviation. So QD is equal to Q3 minus Q1 all over 2. So this is 77.33 minus 57.33. QD is, the answer is 10. Okay, the quartile deviation is 10. Now let's proceed to the MAD, the mean absolute deviation. So solving for the mean absolute deviation is just the same pattern, or should I say same what we did earlier, but naisumpay. Instead of putting here at least cumulative frequency, ang sumpay is class mark and fx. Now, if you're dealing with the same problem, and then I suggest nga iuban na lang nimong table, dili na lahion like class interval, class frequency, then after ana ang katupang usa less than cumulative frequency, then next is the class mark, then f of x para mausa ra tanan og table. But for now, just to answer the mean absolute deviation, so upat ang atong ipakita nga column. Okay? Now, kay bawo naman ta giunsa ni pag-process. The class mark is the in between of 47 and 51, and then this is 51 minus 47. After that you add 1. Okay, so that's why it becomes 49. I'm sorry, in between, yeah, it's plus 1, then you count it using 47. That's why it becomes 49, 47, 48, 49. Now, same with the others. Ang tunga ani for the class mark, tunga ani tunga. Then for the f of x, you just simply multiply the frequency into class mark. 4 times 49, 186, so on and so forth. Now, for the summation of f, uh, summation of the frequency is 30. The summation of f of x is 2031 or 2031. So therefore, the mean is summation of f of x over n is 2031 over 30. That's 67.7. Take note, this is not the mad, this is the mean. Okay? Dili pa ni mao ang mean absolute deviation. Dapat ni sumpay, ipakita lang kung unsay mean. Now for the mad, mao ni siya sumpay. After getting ang kinalasan f of x man no? So after having class mark f of x, napanay sumpay nga table, which is the absolute value of x minus mean. So kay naa naman kay mean, importante di man ni ma-solve og y mean. So the x here is 49 minus 67.7, and take note this is absolute value. You're gonna get negative value, but there is an absolute value. So sa laptod walay negative nga numbers diri nga column. Okay? And yeah, so that's it. X minus the mean. So x is 54 minus the mean. So 59 minus the mean, which is, ang mean is 67.7. So after that, the f times the absolute value of x minus mean. So kining f o kini mo imong i-times 4 times 18.7, 74.8. 3 times 13.7, 41.1. So after getting all the entry here, since there is summation, so you just add everything here in this column, and the final answer, or should I say, the sum up is 317.6. Now, just to answer the MAD, mao ni ang formula, summation of f multiplied to the absolute value of x minus the mean all over n. So, na naman tayo formula sa ibabaw. So 317, i-divide na to 30. The answer is 10.59. Almost the same with the QD. The QD is 10. Okay? The range, where's the range? The range is 43. Layo kayo. And the QD is 10. And the MAD is 10.59. Okay? Now, let's proceed. Since we're done with the range, the quartile deviation or QD, and the MAD, the mean absolute deviation. Next one is the standard deviation. Now, solving the standard deviation using the table constructed and while solving for the mean absolute value. So, same ra gyud. Okay? Magamit og, look at this one. There is anhirataman. F multiplied to the quantity to the absolute value of x minus mean. There is na squared, guys. Okay? Dire raman to tama, no? Summation of this one, pero wala is squared. How about there is squared? And then there is the frequency, multiply to the frequency. So again, pwede ninyo usahon na og table na ay class mark, class frequency, na ay tally, ug unsay mga pangutana in the previous one, pwede ra iusa og table. So, to continue, so this one na ay squared, asa man ka magamit, kini ra. 18.7 squared nimo mo na answer. 13.7 squared nimo mo na answer. Now, after getting this one, so you do this table f multiplied to this one. So, gamito na nimo ang 4, which is the frequency, times 349.69 mo na answer. And so on here. So, the summation of f multiplied to the absolute value of x minus mean, that being powered by 2 is 4,834.7. Now, after getting that one, we can do answer the what we call standard deviation. So standard deviation is equal to the square root of the summation of f multiplied to the uh, x minus mean, that being powered by 2 all over n. So, okay, let me correct this one first. Okay, because they're using absolute value here, and in this formula, we're using kuan. Okay, it doesn't matter man pud, no, kay there is a square root ka. There's a squared here, rather, not a square root, squared here. So let's proceed. So summation of f multiplied to the quantity of x minus mean, that being powered by 2 all over n. So just, this is 4834.7. Okay? Mao ni ang sulod. Mao ni siya. Okay? All over 30. Then wala pa mawala ang square root. Do the math here. Then square root. Then the standard deviation is 12.69. So you're using this table as the guide, and then what comes up here mo na imong gamiton. Okay, next is solving for the variance. Since we do have this one, ato running is squared ug but kwintahon. So kini ang answer sa standard deviation. Kung atong square, the answer is 161.16. But for the sake of the formula given, so mao ni ang formula. Okay, sigma squared, and murag o nga kuan gamay, equal to the summation of f multiplied to the quantity of x minus the mean, that being powered by 2 all over n. So 4834.7 over 30 is 161.16. So that is the variance. And take note, kung square root nato ng 161.16, the answer is 12.69. Same with this 12.69, kung atong squared, mahimong 161.16. So that's why standard deviation and the variance are just or more likely the same. Okay. We're done with the example number 1, and we do have the example number 2. So in the exams given to the top 32 students, the following scores were obtained. So let us imagine that same problem. Mangita sa range, sa QD, sa MAD, sa standard deviation, and the variance. So solve for the range first. R is equal to 90 minus 47 is equal to 43. So take note, we do have 32 students now. So na 90 and 47 gihapon, then the range is 43. Now, solve for QD or excuse me, or quartile deviation. So we do have class interval since we're using the same kuan gihapon, same wala man naka-indicate kung pila ka class size, but let us assume that just the same class size, the same class interval. Um, so we do have 47 to 51, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. So the class size is still 5. Class interval still 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then class frequencies, of course. Sorry, it's just 32 here. 4, 8, 12, 16, 18, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 26, 22, 26, 30. Okay. Okay, just never mind this one. The top 30 students like hapon eh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, 32 lagi. Ano man eh. It should be 32 here in the cumulative frequency. Okay, just don't mind this example. There is an error here. Okay, ato lang ni kuanan. Error ni kay 30 ang gigamit. Okay. Just never mind this one. Okay, just never mind this second example. It's just the same or naway kalahian. Basta there is something wrong with the given here. Or no, the solution rather. So ato lang iluksuan lang nato example number 2. Example number 1 is still okay man gihapon. I think na nasulti ra tanan ang angay nga masulti sa inyo ha. We do not mind the example number 2 kay there is a typo error. Okay. Now let's proceed to the 1.3. Okay. Pwede pa ba sa time? Oh no. This is for the next one ah. Okay. So we're done with the 1.2, the measure of variation. Okay. Measure of variation with the range, the quartile deviation, the mean absolute deviation, the standard deviation, and the variance. Okay. So next topic or next video, we will be discussing about 1.3 measure of relative dispersion. All right. Thank you so much for listening and for watching our video.